verdict given in the case of Julius Caesar. I am here to explain to the public how the jury came to the verdict based on the testimonies of the witnesses, the evidence, and the arguments of the defense and the prosecution. On the day of Gaius Julius Caesar's assassination, we do know that the senators were guilty in the assassination of Julius Caesar. However, we were not sure at the time if they had killed him out of jealousy and greed or to save the Republic of Rome. We were also aware that Julius Caesar received warnings of his imminent death from Artemidorus, a soothsayer, and his wife Calpurnia. However, the case was set aside after fruitless attempts were made to bring those to justice based on a war that involved Brutus, Cassius, Octavius, and Antony. After the war, the investigators reopened the case. Through evidence gathered and accounts taken, the investigators had enough evidence to take the senators to court. The following were indicted in the assassination of Julius Caesar. Several could not attend due to their recent deaths. Those indicted were Trebonius, Cinna, Cassius, Ligarius, Decius, Metellus, Casca, Brutus, and Julius Caesar himself. In the opening days of the trial, evidence from the crime scene and the witnesses were produced. The forensic scientists showed that Julius Caesar had been stabbed 23 times by unprofessional killers. Based on the evidence, it is believed that these stabs were created by very emotional people. Only one stab wound was considered fatal. We heard from several different witnesses, including Caesar's bodyguard, also a witness who told us about several conversations he had had with Cassius. We also listened to an expert on Julius Caesar and read a statement from Plutarch. The bodyguard said that Caesar dismissed his security just days before his assassination, saying he wanted to travel on his own. The bodyguard believed that Caesar was either affected by a mental illness or believed that he was a god himself. A witness recounted Cassius' stories of how weak Caesar was and how much he depended on him for help and to save him. Cassius appeared to show disdain for Caesar and the power Caesar held in each of these conversations. The expert believed Julius Caesar knew of the plot, but refused to stop it. The expert stated that Julius Caesar allowed the death to happen so that he would be eternally glorified. The defense argued that this could possibly coincide with a mental illness. Plutarch also describes an incident where Caesar did not stand to receive the Senate. They were going to give him a gift for his services. The excuse given was that Caesar was suffering from an illness that caused him not to understand that he must stand. However, Plutarch said that Caesar was told by a flatterer that he should not rise because he is above the Senate in power. According to Plutarch, Caesar heeded the advice and angered the Senate. We also took a look at the warning Caesar received. The soothsayer told him to beware the Ides of March, or the middle of March. However, the evidence was thrown out because the court cannot rule based on a soothsayer's word. The same occurred with Calpurnia's testimony, because dreams cannot be taken into credible account. However, the letter from Artemidorus appeared legitimate and was taken into evidence. In the letter, Artemidorus listed the conspirators who were plotting to murder Caesar. However, Caesar, according to his witnesses, refused to read the warning, stating that closest personal matters were of least priority to him. The defense argued that the evidence could not be taken seriously. To a typical person, a threat would be urgent to end. The defense stated that, as a prominent leader, it would be expected that Caesar might require a number of threats. He cannot take all of them seriously, or he would never come out of hiding. The prosecution argued that, while that might be true, why would Caesar fire his guards, who would handle such threats and messages? The defense did not have an answer. The last evidence we looked at were the testimonies of those who spoke for and against Brutus, as well as those when we talked about Trebonius. The overwhelming consensus of the testimonies about Brutus showed that many believed that while he was guilty of assassinating Caesar, he was doing so because he believed he was doing what was best for Rome. Many also believed that he was pressured into doing so and were tricked by other senators. Brutus comes from a long line of protectors of Rome. His ancestor killed our last dictator. It is believed that the senators used this to help persuade him to join the conspiracy. We also looked at accounts of Trebonius, who it is believed tricked the conspirators into thinking that he had joined them, but in fact he helped Antony through and through. After the defense and the prosecution were given their final statements, the jury convened. The jury took 3 days to deliberate before reaching their decision. An hour ago, they arrived at the court to give the verdict. All of the senators were proclaimed guilty and responsible in the assassination of Julius Caesar. However, Trebonius was found guilty as an accessory to the crime. While he did trick the conspirators, he did not stab Caesar and he helped Mark Antony. However, he did not alert the government of the planned assassination prior to the event. Brutus was found guilty. However, we expect that he may be granted clemency in the future because he was tricked into believing that he was saving our republic. The rest of the senators have been found guilty of murdering Caesar due to their jealousy and greed. Julius Caesar himself was found not guilty due to a lack of evidence. We thank all of those who were involved in the case to help bring those who were guilty to justice. Our next act will be to find out if Octavius will be the next one to help rule Rome. Thank you, and good night.